let's have a conversation about grief. Today actually marks the 1 year anniversary to where my mentor and a good friend of mine passed away. And then a month later, my grandmother also passed away. And I just want to take this time to honor the both of them and just to honor the emotion of grief and give some insight to that grief. Grief is not actually a problem that needs to be fixed. None of our emotions are problems. Grief actually has a very specific function. And while you can utilize this information to understand what is going on in your system, it's not always going to make the grief easier, but when you understand grief, it does allow you to be in that space without judgment, without pushing it down. It allows you to be more present. Because when you sit with your grief, you actually are present to it. You actually give it space and time without making it wrong, without making you wrong. You're actually allowing yourself to transform that emotion, and that emotion can do its job. So what is the role of grief? Grief actually disperses active emotional charges. It disperses any sort of negative energies, anything that you've taken on. And this is why grief comes on when someone passes away, or when you change careers, or when you end relationships. It is why we feel it so deeply, because it has to work through all of our past memories. It has to work through everything that now has an active emotional charge, because that person or that experience or that role is no longer there. So when you allow the grief to disperse these energies, disperse all the other emotions that are caught up within whatever loss you're going through, it actually allows you to look back on those memories without those active charges, without the anger or the sadness or the fear or whatever it is, whatever emotion is caught up in all of those memories. And that is why when you are present, that is what actually heals, not time. Time does not heal anything if you're not present to what is going on inside. So grief disperses. It works through all your memories, and that's why it comes in waves, because it'll work through a batch of memories and then another and so on. And depending on how long that relationship or job or whatever else, however long that has been there, it's going to take longer to work through. But once you finally allow yourself to work through all those memories, what you're left with is memories. Sometimes they're beautiful, fond memories. Sometimes they're not. But regardless of what the memory is, you're just left with that. You're left with the wisdom of that experience. You're left with, the past in its place, so that you're more open to the future and what the future may bring. So even though it's been a year, and I haven't had a grief wave actually hit me the moment I started talking about it, it makes sense, because it gives me time to reflect on those two really deep connections that I had and still have. It's just transformed into something different now, like more on the spiritual plane. But as you can tell, grief will resurface when there's more to work through, when there's more to address and to be present to. So I'm giving myself that space, and I hope you do as well. But you're not in this alone. I see you, and I understand the emotions and the feelings that you might be working through in this moment in time in regards to grief. The biggest thing I can impart is just honor what has been and allow space for what is yet to come. So regardless of what the situation may be, maybe you lost someone really close to you, maybe something transformed that wasn't good for you. Regardless of what that is, you can allow that grief space to be there. You can be present to it without making it a story about you, about the other person, and just allow the wisdom of that experience to land in your system. But I see you. And if you would like to share any of your experiences on what has helped you with your grief, please feel free in the comments below. But for me, just being present to them, acknowledging them, I am feeling grief, I am feeling loss, I am feeling anger, versus saying I am grieving or I am anger, because now you're identifying with that emotion and it'll latch on even deeper and make it harder to let that go eventually. So I am present to it, I name it, and I breathe. And I don't make stories, I don't intellectualize, I just sit with it. And to me, that is one of the most powerful things that you can do, is make space for how you feel. Okay, so drop in the comments any other suggestions that you might have, or if there's anything that you want to share about your grief that you're working through. And I see you and I honor you.